Welcome, everybody. It's time once again for the next chapter with Charlie Hedges, as he explores turning the page on his life and yours.
Hi there, and welcome, friends, to the next chapter with Charlie. In his daily post, Sabbath Moment, our guest today, Terry Hershey, addresses the vital need for art and music in our lives as a salve for dealing with trying political times. He quotes the band Jethro when they write, "When people in power try to remove our humanity and dignity, art and music provide a raison d'etre." Art and music are certainly far more than a pleasurable escape. And so with that, I chat with author, teacher, and landscape architect Terry Hershey. So Hersh, what's up, bro?
Charles, it's we're having a heat advisory here in Seattle, so
Yeah, what, 75 degrees?
yeah, no, it's mid 80s.
And
Actually,
that's a heat advisory?
actually, it is a heat advisory for us because in Seattle it's probably 90, but nobody has air conditioning here.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I mean, not that I guess some of the like if you go in the grocery store or something, I suppose. But anyway, I was supposed to say good to see you, Charles. But
Oh, who told you that, Nancy?
yeah, Nancy told me. Well,
So you know what? I know that's truly coming from the heart. It's good to see you. Oh, by the way, Nancy says to tell you
yeah,
it's good to see you.
yeah, good to see you.
It's really a pain in the rear, but
Yeah. Anyway,
that's my job.
yeah.
So talk to me about you. You wrote it. You wrote a really good post. Your Monday posts are different. Tell us the difference. Tell our audience the difference between your Monday Sabbath Moment and your weekly, the rest Tuesday through Friday daily Sabbath thoughts or something like that.
A daily dose. Yeah. Well, sorry
That's
about
a
the noise.
ghost. We have a ghost in the
We have a
house.
ghost in the house. Yeah, because there's no air conditioning here, so the doors and windows are open. So you're going to hear wind shutting the doors and windows. Um, well, I mean, I started Sabbath Moment around the year 2000, I guess.
Oh, did you really? No
I
kidding.
think
You've
so.
been doing this for a quarter century?
Yeah. And it was a Monday. It's a Monday blog, and has been all those years. And then uh, when the pandemic happened, when COVID happened, uh, uh, all of my work, which is travel and speaking, was gone. Just everything had to be canceled. So
Yeah,
that was
you couldn't travel and people couldn't show
no,
up.
no, no. Couldn't travel, couldn't do any of that work. So that was 2020, right? 2020 when that happened. Yeah. Anyway, and so I lived on Vashon Island and I was home, and so I started to write daily. That was my way of going through the week, was writing daily. So I started posting a daily and was only going to do it during the pandemic, but there were
And
enough people that were grateful for it.
yeah,
Uh,
you
there-
created a habit. You can't stop doing that now.
yeah, so there's there I and I'm grateful to do it every day. It's a good it's a ritual that's grounding to me, so
Yeah, and you live by ritual.
100% true. Yeah.
Tell us about ritual. Why is that important to you?
Um, well, the irony is that a ritual uh, makes a space for you that sort of ad-libbing doesn't. Um, I remember, you will recall this. Do you remember your life in the evangelical church back in the days?
A bit.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't have the vivid memories that you do. I'm old and I forget more shit than
But
you do.
remember this during worship services, where you go to church now, the prayer is a ritual.
Right.
I froze. Am I frozen on your screen?
Not your face is froze, but your sound is fine. So
Okay.
that happens every now and then. We
Oh,
expect
does
it.
it? Anyway, the back in the church that I went to or grew up in, the pastor had to make up the prayer.
Oh,
You
I
know,
know. And then they turned out to be so long.
and they're not only so long, but you can tell in the making it up because I know what that's like to make up a prayer.
Yeah,
And you're so focused on getting the right thing to say to the people, you're not really focused on the prayer.
right, right.
Hence, when I say a ritual prayer, I don't have to worry about either impressing anybody, getting it right, saying it in a certain way that people will nod. I am able to take the words and I can either let them in. I give it space. That's what a ritual does. It's the very same in gardening, in the way I do my weeding, in the way I do my tilling, and any of those kind of things.
It's the same
And
thing over and over and
but
over.
there's space. You're creating space if you want to learn, to be present, to be creative, all those kind of things.
See what it allows you, what I'm hearing it allows you, is it allows your creativity in the space, not in making up time. Not in fit. You don't have to figure out what am I going to do right now to fill my productivity time. That is taken care of. Now I need to fill something else, fill a whole different kind of time. And so it gives room for creativity.
Yeah, I mean, and the thing with ritual is I'm not even worried about ritual being productivity time. I mean, that doesn't really
No,
matter.
no, ritual is not productivity. I
Oh,
get
I
it.
see what you're saying. Yeah,
I'm just
that's
saying
the whole
that's
point.
typically what we do with our
Yeah,
free
exactly.
time.
I don't. Yeah, I don't have to go there. Yeah, exactly.
Well, that's because you're retired.
No, I work every day. Remember, I write a Sabbath moment.
Well, I write one a week. Does that count?
Yeah, it does, especially because the amount of emotional energy you put into it. So that counts. That's a good amount of work.
And you know, don't you? That's funny that you would say that.
But I mean, I do one speaking job a month still, so I travel once a month. Yeah,
Yeah, that's good. That's good.
yeah,
So, but you don't live quite as hectic a life as you did 20 years ago.
not even remotely close.
Yeah, yeah.
Not even remotely close.
So let's talk. I know we're going to have a bit of limited time today. I really like the subject matter of your post, of your blog. Do you call them blogs? You do call them blogs.
Hmm.
Of your blog, and and it is too easy for me. I love art. I mean, I love all forms of art. I was probably at the theater 4 times in the last 3 weeks.
Right.
Couple different plays. One play I saw 3 times. And then I go regularly to art museums. But that has always been viewed to me, and I say always, it's most commonly done for pleasure. But there's so much more than pleasure, and you bring that out in this post. Talk to me about how art, and music, excuse me, is the raison d'être for our life, the reason for being. It goes into our very core. It comes from the core.
Well, art is another way of saying those are different kinds of rituals that enable space. You if you want to, you can stay detached from it, and you can simply say, "Oh, isn't that nice?" And you've been to museum places where people do it that way. Oh, isn't that nice? And you've seen people who've also seen different kinds of art in museums, whether it's historical art or whether it's things for different ethnic groups have gone through in their history, or
Right.
whether it's the way certain people have painted and sung and drawn, and you know the story. And if you step inside that story, you are invited to make a choice about what to honor. Honor life, honor presence, honor dignity, honor community. Those things are huge, big deal. That you honor those things.
Dignity, life, and humanity.
Yeah, and connection, because there's connection.
Oh,
Because
yes.
you're honoring the fact that we're connected. I mean, just in our age, our era. I mean, when you go to a Pete Seeger thing way back in the day.
See, you were at Pete Seeger, I was at Queen. So it's
Yeah. But you didn't, when you went to a Pete Seeger thing, he didn't stand up and do a sermon. That's my thing.
no. Right.
He didn't make a speech.
Right.
He wrote a song because it was an invitation. The invitation was, that's why I love, well, Martin Luther King, or many people like him can do a sermon that feels like a song, you know?
Right. Right. You know who you remind, you know who I think of when you're talking that way? I think of Leonard Cohen, is that his name?
Yeah, Cohen is a perfect example.
Yeah.
Actually, and then Cohen unpacks it too. So then he writes books about it, poetry, a lot of poetry. He's a huge poet. But he writes and then he unpacks that kind of stuff too. What the artist enables, creating space. And the artist isn't creating it so that you have only one way to choose here. But it awakens part of you, which is what the big deal is.
I wonder if most of us catch that, but can't really articulate it. Don't have never, I mean, I think of concerts that, my son is big in concerts. And I go to concerts with my son, and my son is, it's about the pleasure of the music, but there's something else that's going on, something else that's going to his soul that
And
really attaches to him.
Yeah, and I have no problem with the pleasure part too. I mean, just in terms of taking pleasure, I get that. But the kind of music that my son goes to, it's the whole group. There's stand during the whole concert, and there's movement. In other words, it's very community oriented. It's a community endeavor. We're in this together, sort of thing. But I'm in awe of, the story. The Boston Philharmonic.
Mm-hmm.
Wasn't that long ago, a year or two ago, but they were playing something, Brahms, something wonderfully magical concert, symphony. And at the end of the symphony, as you have known, if you've attended any of these symphonies, it's lovely to listen to the entire thing. And then when they finish, there's this silence, literally silence, before anything happens in the audience. There's silence.
And the audience is silent.
Yeah, silent. And then there's applause. But there's that moment of silence. And then this, in the Boston Globe, this was in the Boston Globe, and so they published it. A grandfather had taken his grandson, who was 5. Anyway, at the end, in this moment of silence, after there'd been, a 2-hour concert, after 2 hours, moment of silence, and before there's applause, because, the audience just goes, let it sit.
Right.
There's this little boy's voice that goes real loud. Wow. Anyway, the entire audience began to laugh and then applaud. Big laugh and applaud. Anyway, the conductor, who'd been the conductor of the Boston Philharmonic for years and years and years, said that's the finest moment he's ever had conducting music.
I bet.
Because the boy gave voice to what we're talking about.
Yes.
There's more to hear than just the music and or saying that's nice.
Terry, the play that I went to, I've talked to you over and over about this play, Spring Awakening. That's challenging in its content, but It takes place in a boarding school in the 1890s in Germany, and it deals with adolescent angst, and the music is phenomenal. And the music and the dancing are so complex. I went to where it was performed by a community theater. And before I went there, I just said, I've got to lower my expectations because I've seen the play at a large playhouse, at a large symphony playhouse. I've seen the Broadway cast do a play in Sigersom Hall. And I didn't think that a community playhouse, a bunch of, just volunteers, kids under 25 years old could actually sing this. And Terry, they rivaled. They rivaled the Broadway. I mean, it was just amazing. But so I'm there for the music. I'm there to be entertained by the music. However, as I think back on it, I've seen the play 4 times. And my first 3 times of watching the play, I cried every time. That is touching more than pleasure.
Correct.
That's touching my soul. That's touching a deep part of me, of the angst, because who of us cannot, deeply identify with the angst of adolescence? Without,
Yeah. Well, the fact that your art, see a play, for example, that artistic endeavor was able to touch your heart in a way more than simply a lecture about the particular topic.
Yeah, yeah.
And it would be the same for any other kind of art that they did that with. Now, sometimes art is, yeah, as in clergy, I wish we took advantage of that more in church services. Drama, for example, and dance. I mean, if you go to black churches, there's a lot more art, drama, and dance, and certain kinds of music that we don't get sometimes in white churches.
There's a lot more humanity.
Because it's a part of their history and their storytelling.
Yes.
That's the way their stories are told. And it would be the same thing then if you went to the dinner table afterwards. The cooking would be a part of the history too.
Yes.
Because it would be telling stories of such generation, this generation, this generation, and how it's passed down. And so the art continues with the cooking. I mean, it's stories, it's profound, which takes us back to dignity and humanity and connection.
That's funny. You just, and I so agree. I so agree first, but also you just reminded me, or you informed a lot of us, that there's more to art than museums and concerts and albums. That art, you're an artist, and yet you do not have what we would call an artistic medium that you pronounce to the world.
Yeah.
And yet you are a creative artist. I mean, your gardening is creative.
Yeah.
But just in your cooking.
Praise songs for the kitchen ghost. And this is a woman that wrote a story about how certain things were cooked and passed down through the history. This is from slavery on, and how singing and cooking was a part of the liberation of the spirit, because they had a world. That world was not a slave. The cooking world was not enslaved. They were, but the way they could cook wasn't.
I wonder when you've talked about Black spirituality, and I just listened to Richard Rohr this morning, and Richard was talking about a Negro hymn.
Yeah.
It is me, or something like that. I'm the one who stands in the need of prayer. But that's the end of I don't know if you're familiar with the hymn. I'm not, but he just says Black spirituals are so get in touch with life. I wonder in with so many of us, we have so much. We do not, we're certainly not oppressed. You and I are not oppressed, and we don't, we have our issues, we have our problems, but we're not oppressed, we're not downtrodden. I wonder how much that sparks the creative spirit in people being on the outside of.
Well, I mean, think of many of the artists we know. I mean, Leonard Cohen, you mentioned. I mean, the number of artists and the number of writers who wrote from a place of melancholy or depression.
Oh,
I mean, the creative thing with that is phenomenal, spectacular,
how do you
brilliant.
have back in the day? How do you have a novelist that was not alcoholic? I mean,
Yeah,
Hemingway, and you go down the list. And
and or any of our unbelievable poets. I mean, yeah. And so,
Bukowski,
but
yeah.
but the gift of that is that the power of life is still alive and well, and the way for it to come out is art. And and then people who understand what they've wrestled with, what like the difficulty of that part of life, see that piece of art, a play, for example, and they go, yes, yes, and then they go, thank you, which is exactly what you did. You said yes and thank you, not in those words, but
I
essentially.
did, no. And well, by giving credit and accolades to the performance afterward, I
Yeah,
was saying thank you.
yeah, exactly. Yeah,
Now our, I think you can help, maybe we can help our listeners who do not feel, in society's terms, do not feel artistic. I don't paint, I don't write music, I don't play an instrument, therefore I'm not artistic.
yeah.
And that is just totally untrue, is it not? What the hell are you doing?
I'm getting you more props.
Oh,
Well,
okay.
I just did a thing, a retreat down in Southern California in July, and my thing was on a John O'Donohue poem about listening to the voice of your heart. And Bev Klopfenstein, you know
Right.
Bev,
Yes.
we in the afternoon we have everybody. She does an art project, and this was with everybody, and this is watercolor. And so she gave us a piece of paper, and we did something with heart, imagining our heart.
You did that?
Yeah,
You did that?
I did that.
That's talented. Hirsch.
Yeah, but that's the whole point. It had doesn't really matter whether it's talented, because
Right.
if you said to me, "Can you do something about heart?" I would say I didn't even know where to start. But the gift that Bev gave everybody, and then every single person in the room, to a person, if you'd said, "Are you an artist?" Maybe two would say yes,
Yes, yes, yes.
right? And every single person in the room did two of these. Every single
Let me
person.
see what that says. You can't show me writing and not let me read it. Ah,
But the thing that was so great about it is it took 2.5 hours to do it because everybody loved doing it. Is there was no is they were completely in it, even though if you'd said to them, "Are you an artist?" they would have said, "Are you nuts?"
what would they have said after doing that painting?
How invigorating and enlivening it was.
Yeah, yeah. That was a fantastic time in my life. That I was about a decade. You know me. I last about a decade at a lot of things, and
Yeah,
I lasted about a decade at painting. And
yeah,
and I have, you were at the house. I've got about a half dozen paintings out on my garage wall.
yeah. I know.
And I don't know if I have any in the house. Maybe one small one. Um, and that was such a rich time. That was, I mean, it was so rich because I had no idea what was going on the canvas. It was strictly my soul talking to the canvas, and I was able to detach from expectations. And I knew I wasn't a good artist, so I didn't have to try to be good. I didn't try to be good. I didn't care. I
Yeah,
just wanted to reflect my soul to the best. And I wish I could show a painting that is totally abstract, and it is titled Self-Portrait.
Yeah. It's yeah, it's the number one thing when I teach. I don't teach it anymore, but I used to teach writing classes, and I would tell people if you even pause while you're writing this to edit it, stop, cut it out. It's not about that. It's about letting the words flow. And if you're giving yourself grief because you're not going to be John Updike, welcome to the club.
Yeah, quick. I've got a clue for you. You're never going to be John Updike.
So that's the whole point. You don't have to be. You get to be you. Yeah.
Yeah, I love that.
Yeah. Oh man,
That's
the
okay.
wind's
That's
blowing in.
that's your ghost in the kitchen. They're longing for you to be down there cooking.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, I think I would have never. I don't know that I would ever have called myself an artist until I started painting. And I did my painting. Even then, I was reluctant to call myself an artist because I thought there was a whole definition behind that, a whole set
Well,
of requirements of what it means to be an artist. And it just means to be a reflector. You're reflecting your soul. I did that writing exercise. I was at a seminar, and part of the seminar was on writing essays or writing personal. And she and the teacher wouldn't. We had to write, and we had to write very quickly. And although she gave us quickly, but we had 3, 4, 5 minutes to write. But what was expected of it was a lot. You didn't have time to edit. If you edited, you wouldn't get it. And I took this. I took. I. You know what is so fun is that I ended up in this essay or this reflection at a completely different place than I started. I ended up. It was something about. Tell me what gave you what gives you joy or some kind of joy. And so I picked some kind of person. It was about a person that I was writing about. And as I kept going, I think it might even have been, it was about God. It was about God and I was thinking of my love for my son and about how God's love for Jesus rivals, or I rival God's love, but it reflects God's love for Jesus. My love for my son, it is not an academic, it is not a positional or conditional thing. It's a heart-rending thing. And I went from talking about God and Jesus to listening to a crowd in Cleveland during the playoffs against the Yankees when Cleveland was playing the Yankees last year in the American League playoffs. That our whole crowd, 30-something thousand people, were cheering head G, head G. That's where I ended up. I ended up just and it was beautiful. Just what it did for me is writing without criticism and without a solid direction. This is where I'm trying to end. I don't know. I just know I'm going somewhere. I don't know where I'm going. It was a beautiful exercise, Terry.
yeah, you don't, yeah, that's the whole thing about foreclosure. You don't want to foreclose on it. So once you foreclose on it, you're not available to whatever the gift is.
Flesh that out. That's really. I think we really need to ponder that and hear that.
Well, it's the same for you name what it is, whatever your expectation is, that I'm doing this in order to, and as soon as I have that script in mind, I'm not available to what can happen.
I think about when I'm writing my blogs. I
Yeah.
have a direction. But
Well,
you know what? Typically, I have a direction, but I typically don't have an end.
yeah, it's just as well. I never do when I'm writing Sabbath Moment. Um, I have a concept that I'm starting with, or at least
Yeah.
what's going on in my spirit or my heart at the time, but it'll come out. Give it space.
You write a lot about dancing. You know,
Yeah.
about dancing?
I do.
Yeah, I'm going to say somewhere it's going to show up in a post probably weekly, or if not, darn near weekly.
Yeah.
What's with you and dancing? Do you dance?
Well, it was, I grew up, it was a sin. You know that. In the church I grew up in, it
I
was,
for, I forget the GARB, right? You were GA,
yeah,
General Association
it
of
was a
Regular
sin. Yeah.
Baptists.
Dancing was a sin.
Nancy was a sin.
Yeah.
Oh, because you haven't gone in front of a priest or a pastor.
Dance, I don't know why it was a sin because it,
Oh, dancing was a sin. I thought you just said Nancy was a sin.
no, dancing. Dancing was a sin. So, yeah, I grew up in a world where dancing wasn't allowed.
Did you dance?
No, what was her name on Seinfeld? That,
Julia,
yeah,
Julia.
remember how she used to dance that was kind of unbelievably bizarre? Yeah, it was that kind of dance. It made no sense, but she had fun.
Yeah, that's all. That's all that it is.
Yeah,
I dance in my bathrooms in the morning.
yeah,
My bathroom.
yeah.
My one room. I will dance when
Well,
I have
I
music
drop
playing.
stuff and try to pick it up, and that's like a dance because it takes a lot of time and it's relatively awkward, but that's okay. I should have music in there. It would look good.
Yeah, that's wonderful.
Yeah.
So what can we do as folks that are interested in finding, see, here's a quote that I like this, and I think this is what art and music, and I got this from your post. Art and music remind us that when life is difficult or when the odds are stacked against us, life itself is beautiful and worth
Right.
celebrating.
Right.
We don't catch that. Life is for, when I said productivity before that, the American view of life is productivity.
Yeah. No, life is it's the paradigm shift that I would invite people to do as a go home question here is instead of asking people what did you do today, which is a productivity question.
Right.
It's about occupying your time. Tell me what you saw that made you smile. Tell me what you saw that was beautiful. Where was that gift today? And everyone sees it. We see those kind of things, even if it's a kind word or a smile. I would tell you about two plants out there that are in bloom now. I would tell you about that. I would tell you about the hummingbird I just saw feasting on some of my plants. I would tell you about that if I were answering the question with you. Things I saw that were beautiful today. But we don't, I want us to have that conversation more. And in my retreats, I have people do that. Let's change the paradigm in terms of what we measure and what matters. And I don't need to know what you do or what you did. I mean, we can get to that if you want to, if it's important to you. But I do need to know where you're grounded in beauty and wonder, because that's where the sacred is.
That's beautiful. We don't have a lot of time. I'd like to explore this a lot more, but I think we've left plenty of thoughtful ideas. And you can still, I go to museums differently now than I used to.
Yeah.
I
And so do I. Yeah, so
do
do
you
I.
I go for an experience. I expect an experience, and I don't expect the museum to entertain me, to give me that experience. That
Yeah.
experience is me.
Yeah.
It's all about my attitude.
Yeah, I
I
go for stories, whatever the stories are. I go about a lot about stories too. So
Yeah, you're big in stories. Yeah, I go for I want to feel it. I want to be able to, whether I can physically touch it, I want to feel like I can metaphorically touch it, that it is right here present before me. And I went to a museum that was much more, it wasn't I typically go to contemporary art museums, but I've been going, there's only so many in South Orange County, or North Orange County. There's only a handful of like two, you know, um, um, museums of modern art, but the other art gets me in a whole different way.
Mm.
All right, Hirsch, you're very cool. Thanks for this.
Thanks.
Thanks for spending time with me. You're the best, bro.
Keep doing your writing, and I'll keep. Now that I'm a painter, I'll keep doing my painting.
Try to keep doing your painting. Okay, and I want to thank everybody for tuning in to the next chapter with Charlie. And until next, this is Charlie Hedges signing off. Bye for now.